What's up, everybody? Welcome to this edition of Real Estate Unwrapped. It is Friday, the first Friday of February. Excuse me. There's a lot of F bombs being dropped here.
Yes.
First Friday in February, and you see Gigi, she's over here in Puerto Rico, in Rincon.
The shining star.
My name is Greg. I have a pool in the house that we're renting. That Airbnb is great. So I was just dipping in this morning, and now we just went for breakfast because we took a really late flight. Got in Aguadilla. We didn't do
Aguadilla.
Aguadilla at 4 o'clock. Got the car and took a half-hour drive to Rincon, and the house is right by the beach. I mean, it's really no beach; it's right by the water. So it's all like private residences and all. It's really
sexy.
lovely, and the weather is amazing.
What's the weather like? What's the temperature out there?
It's 84, man. Look at that.
Wow, it's beautiful. I went to
Oh
the
my God,
gym
look at
this
that blue
morning.
sky.
I know.
I went to the gym this morning and it was 27 degrees. Let's go.
Oh, no.
And it was windy.
Yep.
You
Me
know
too.
that- you know
That's all I have to say. Me too.
I went by the pool and I just took a dip, and I was like, just feeling that warm sun, like before you even put the sunscreen, you have this 15, 20 minutes where you get your vitamin. Oh man, I felt like, I was thinking this is what lizards must feel like. You're just like soaking in, it's so
Soaking
good.
in that vitamin D.
Yeah.
So, Carrie, Gigi is in Puerto Rico.
Puerto
Just in
Rico.
case.
Shining star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you don't actually hear that anymore. It's like Puerto Rico, the shining star. You don't hear that anymore.
La Isla.
That's from the
Isla
90s.
Encanto.
Oh,
Yeah,
please don't make me sound that old.
I can't say I heard it that much, but
I'm having
Sounds
a
really
Puerto
nice.
Rican coffee. It's amazing. Oh
Nice.
God.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
ooh,
Well,
there it
while
is.
while you're enjoying yourself in Puerto Rico with the beautiful weather, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Enjoying yourself by the pool, enjoying yourself with a beautiful coffee.
We're gonna
Here
go
we
to the
are in
beach.
the freezing
With the
cold
boat.
weather, but we're still making business no matter what. I'm sure we're
I know.
having a great week. Ed, what about your week? Tell us about it.
Yo, it's been busy, bro. Busy like a mother flower. But there's a lot happening. There's a lot of shifts, a lot of changes going into the new year. So I'm super excited about that. I'm noticing that there's more buyers out. I know the interest rates went down.
Again. 3 times in
again.
the month of
So,
January.
More buyers are coming out now, so I'm happy about that. We got listings that we got offers on, multiple offers, accepted offers. We're gonna be going under contract soon, so I can't even complain, man. Life is good.
Yeah, I mean, I love it too. For me, I actually just got a call from two of my buyers and also sellers as well, especially the sellers in that sense. They're like, hey, should we even sell right now? And I'm like, yeah. It's like the buyers are out. The hibernation is over. They're actually out and about. The interest rates have actually woken them up and they're ready to move forward. And I'm feeling the effects of it as well. A lot of renters themselves are even, they're really changing their minds of actually buying versus having to sell. So it's actually a really good market. It's turning out to be so far. So I'm really happy on how it's turning out.
I'm sure we're gonna have a fantastic spring, and that's why we need to keep going, and just
don't stop.
For those that are doing what they need to do, went back to the basics, and I went back into, as you all know, I switched brokerage, but I went back into managing and training, so really like putting emphasis on the basics and having those really good conversations. And even for me, even if I'm not gonna list as much, still listing, thank God for my SOI. And as long as you're having those conversations, you're good. As long as you have a good value proposition, a great marketing plan, you do what you gotta do.
That's it.
And good examples are Ed and Israel. If you guys don't know really what to do, call on them. They'll give you plenty of tips. Right?
Word.
Yeah.
So Gigi, you got somebody that reached out to you. I don't know if you know who Chris is, but Chris said he's back in the field and he wants to catch up with you about real estate.
Chris? Oh my God. Okay, Chris. Just shoot me An instant message. Hold on, I have to wear my glasses. This is crazy. I'm on my phone. I'm going on an hour and a
I'm gonna
half
be
of
reading
you
stuff, so
guys.
I gotta put my
Bear with me.
I gotta put on my glasses.
Glasses time.
Oh
Jesus.
wow! Of course.
Yeah, Chris.
Hey,
You know Chris.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Big hug to you. This is and it's coming in from LinkedIn, right? This is what
Yeah,
it
from
looks like.
LinkedIn.
So nice to hear from you. I'll catch up with you, darling.
Catch up.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely. So speaking of catching up, I mean, honestly, when it comes to this kind of market, a lot of folks are actually, again, asking whether or not they should be in the market, whether or not if their home is ready for the market, whether or not they should work on things in the market, for the market, meaning. And I actually love today's topic in that sense. Today's topic, we're actually going to go over just a couple of things that sellers should do. In other words, to keep the home values in their homes, and to keep as much equities in their homes, and not to do things that are just too crazy, but easy enough for them to actually be able to not actually get dinged by the buyers later on. So I'm looking forward to this.
And we're preparing for the spring market. So this topic is going to help you and your sellers prepare yourselves to get that home on the market and try to make it as presentable as possible. So like Israel said,
without spending your savings, your whole savings, without spending the bank. You
might have to use a little bit of the savings, but
just a little bit, right?
Just
the return is so great. That's why it makes sense sometimes to just. I think if you have the proper repairs, the proper like sprucing up stuff, and the proper staging, you're good. You're good. You can just gather top dollars for the house.
Sometimes, I mean, to even think about it this way, when I speak to sellers, just the little things, no matter what, is always 10 times worth the amount for a buyer than it is for you. So in other words, like something can be worth $1,000 to do, but for them it would be $10,000. It's like you got to really, protect that when it comes to these little crucial things that we're about to talk about right now. So
I remember hearing that buyers would always try to. They see a property, they see that it needs some attention or some TLC, and usually they believe that it's going to be anywhere between 3 to 5 times more than what it actually costs to get the job repaired. So, again, these are steps you can take that's going to help you prepare your sellers and your sellers prepare to put their homes on the market. So let's get to
those tips are geared towards sellers that are listening to us, because I know we have clients that tune in. It's not right when we live, but after that, and get the temperature on the market. But this is geared towards giving them some ideas on how to get best return on the small investments you can do when they're going to fix up that house. Yep. You guys want to bring the slides?
Let's go ahead and show them. So, again, the most critical things to do to increase a home's value before putting it on the market. Let's start with the first one.
Yeah. Is it working? Oh.
Is it working? Yeah. The most important repair to make before selling: fix damaged floorings. That's slightly important.
Yeah, and you don't have to change the whole floor. I mean, sometimes when it's really damaged, it's probably better to get those new engineered floor, and that's a bigger job. But if you have hardwood, you can change a few planks, not a big deal. If you have old, ugly carpet, definitely that needs to go. What do you think, guys? It's that first look that's so important to the buyers. Like, those things are eyesores, and sometimes it just doesn't take that much money,
Yeah, it depends on the work you're going to do, but it's funny because the article that we got this information from, they're actually showing like different colored carpeted, worn out. It looks like it's from the 80s, 70s. You know what I mean? But it is something that you want to work on. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes with the updated flooring, like I have a client of mine that has floating floors, but you didn't notice it much when he had furniture there. But now that they took the furniture out, you clearly see that there's like different floors, but they use the tape to kind of like connect everything together. Luckily for them, Go ahead.
Before you continue, what is a floating floor for everyone who's probably asking right now?
Sure. So floating floors are like the luxury vinyl flooring. You could either get them luxury vinyl or you can get them like wood flooring. But they literally connect together like Legos, and they have like a
like the
little
Pergo flooring.
yeah,
Like that, right?
and they have like the little they have like a little layer of soundproofing foam that comes already attached to it. But for some people, I like to take it a step further, get the quartz soundproof soundproof foam, and then put that first, and then put the floating floors on top. That way you have more sound, like quietness at this point.
Yeah.
Because I know
But
co-ops.
you're gonna have a bigger job on when you're gonna do that. That's pretty much like something that's gonna cost money. It's not just like a
Yeah,
small repair.
that'll cost money. You know what I mean? But sometimes, luckily enough, if you rip out that old carpet, for example, the
That's what
hardwood
you need,
floors underneath might be
Oh,
good.
good.
So
Yeah.
you can go
So
as far as like sanding
work,
that down and shining it up, you know?
Not even
So you're
that,
pretty
sometimes
much-
it just be the good work. That's it. Yeah.
So pretty much you're
Yeah.
saying I could just rip off the carpet and just put some pine sol on it and call it a day?
Sometimes if you're that lucky.
You know,
Sometimes that.
Other times, if you
don't
got
have any
hold up.
Yeah.
If you got carpet in from the 70s or the 60s, then chances are when you pull up that carpet, that little foam that they put on the floor first, and then the foam, and then the carpet, sometimes that's stuck to the floor, and you got to scrape that off. So,
That's so true.
it depends. It depends.
That's so true.
Okay, you might be able to get away with taking it off and leaving it as is, but chances are there's some staples holding down that foam. You got to rip the staples out. I mean, it could get to the point where you might find yourself sanding down the floors and polishing the floors, but guaranteed that would bring you a bigger return than keeping those old 1970s carpet.
Yeah. There's definitely that difference between having those old school floorings and the floors you could either mop or just put a whole new floor in, or just the in between format of that too. And I've actually been through my houses, and I've helped out with houses that it needed the little bit of, let's just say, TLC in that format. So shall we go to the next one to see what's the next beautiful thing that we should fix? Oh, I love this one.
Water
I love this
stains.
one. Oh yeah. So
Water stains.
So water stains in that sense. I mean, honestly, here's the thing with water stains. It's always that one, because we don't fix it right away. It could be a stain that happened 20 years ago that we chose never to fix or never to paint. Right? It's probably a project that might have been somebody leaving water in the basement, or I mean, not in the basement, in the bathroom, and then all of a sudden it went through, and we just fixed it up right away.
Yeah,
folks. Once you see that is a major eyesore. Anytime I show buyers, because the first thing I do is when I walk around with them is I usually look at the ceilings first, no matter if it's a house or.
You're higher to the ceiling, Israel. That's what you.
I'm higher. That's the reason. Okay.
It's because when you guys walk in, your head scrapes the ceiling, and then you gotta look up, and then look at that watermark.
That's actually pretty close. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right on now.
I walk in. I'm at the center match, center point. So I'm literally like, I walk in. I'm in the middle of the room. I gotta look up. I gotta look down.
Different focus point for Ed. Yeah, I know.
I'm like the camera when they're doing the 3D virtual tour. That's my view.
We drone. Israel and I are like the drones all the way up there.
You guys are like some of those agents that be taking pictures from like the top right hand corner, like looking down. Like,
what's sad? What's sad about what you're saying is that I almost feel like I need to focus on the floor, and then I don't need to focus on the ceilings.
You see?
It's like, wait, what's going on? It's like, what's going on down there?
Israel has to put on his glasses to see the floor.
So the thing is, go ahead.
Looking at these article breakdown, it's almost like I can literally remember a client that had this particular issue.
I have two of them like that too. Go ahead.
Bro, we had a seller who was selling his apartment in Forest Hills. Okay. And he had like a very light water stain on the corner of the wall. And buyer ends up coming in. They saw it and they were like, "Look, honestly, that was a repair that was done when we first moved in. That's how it
Yep.
was. We never even thought
Always.
anything about it." Tell me how my seller got a little antsy, and he's like, "Oh, let me just see, make sure it's not wet." He ends up like touching it, and his finger went right through the wall. And then
Oh
he
my
called me
God.
freaking out. He's like, we're in contract. Now I gotta fix this. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
relax. Just get the super up there to take a look at it, whatever the case
Yeah.
is. But they ended up fixing it. There was no leaks, thankfully. So they just patched up the ceiling, repainted
Yep.
it, and left it as is. Which again, now it looked better than it did before.
So my quick scenario is that I actually also had a co-op real quick, and it was on the top floor. And I told these folks, hey, listen, you need to paint. If this is a repair that's done several years ago, you need to paint that, right?
Yeah.
So towards the beginning, obviously they didn't want to because they felt like they were wasting money. They felt like they didn't want to paint for at least a $200-300 job or $1,000 job. They just didn't want to do it at all.
Yeah.
So with that frame in mind, everybody that walked in looked at that stain, right?
Yeah.
And I said, got to get rid of that. Just if it's already done, if it's fixed.
The people's mind, it might be a
Exactly.
ongoing problem, and that's a normal concern. I mean, it's
Exactly. So what happens is that a month later they choose to finally paint it because it took them a little bit to choose to do it, and 2 weeks after that is when I got to sell it. So it's like,
exactly.
what I mean, that's all it takes. It's just those little stains. A stain on and we'll go on to the next one real quick. The stain on a ceiling is like a stain on your shirt. Everyone's gonna see it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Yo, I hate. Oh my God, that's one of my. You know what really grinds my gears? When I put on a fresh T-shirt,
Yep.
and I'm about to walk out the door, and I get a little stain on it, and I'm like, mother effer, man.
Me too.
But this
to me, this is an ongoing problem, and I keep repeating the same thing. And I must be insane. So I put my shirt or my sweater on, and then I go brush my teeth. Without fail, I end up
Always
with
a stain.
toothpaste on it every day, and I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah. And then I like to cook, so I keep forgetting to put on my apron. So it's like,
oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
So-
We'll get you an apron. We'll get you one.
I have
Yo,
one. My
I gotta trust the
fiance,
apron.
yeah, Donna's always like, put on your apron. I'm like, dude, come on, I'm busy here. I'm trying to be like Gordon Ramsay over here.
You better put
Let's
on
move
that
on.
apron, boy.
Ooh, I love this one.
Oh
my
man.
God,
So
yes.
this is actually a pet peeve of mine. I
Oh,
love
yeah,
pets.
definitely.
I'm not saying I love pets. I think they're great. But we all have to agree that when you have your pets running up and down your place, there is
Your window
clearly
screens,
gonna be marks of these pets. So sometimes it's almost like the smell of cigarettes, right? Some people don't mind it. Some people are like, yeah, I smoke, but just not in my place. But when you walk into an apartment and it reeks of cigarette,
it's
that
disgusting.
is a turnoff.
Even
completely.
if you smoke, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's and you brought up a good point, which actually that's one of the points we're about to bring up later.
yeah.
Because with this one in particular, I mean, I love the fact that the cats are on there. I actually see this with houses as well, right? And it's really, really, really simple thing in the sense of just really ripping up the old screen and just putting it in. All it takes is just like one little screwdriver and just put everything back in. And I tell you, that little work going to Home Depot can cost you at least $100-200 to fix up a couple of windows here and there. But folks that don't do it, right?
I mean, this
Right.
is basically, yeah.
And the problem with that is when that happens, when people see torn screens or anything else like that, it is already a curb appeal of theirs to say, man, I wonder how much they're taking care of the house inside.
Inside, yes.
Yeah, because that's the entrance. That's the entry point. Like imagine if you had a screen door to go into your what's another thing? When your screen door has no handle, when your screen door is just flapping in the wind, right?
Yeah.
Like I get it. Inflation is through the roof. We keep talking about this. Eggs are like $15 a pop now.
Oh my God.
But quite frankly, if there isn't funds to replace, for example, your screen door or the window screens, take them off. Just take them off then. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't even put nothing
It's better
there.
to
Take
not
it
have
out.
any,
Yeah, because the minute somebody sees that, like I said, if you walk into the door and the first door is a screen door and then the regular door and the screen door is all torn up, like Israel said, the first impression, I'm already thinking to myself, this house is probably tore the F up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, to me, it's always, that's the first thing. I mean, forget the landscaping. Once you see that, it's like, all right, forget it. This is gonna be a crap show.
You're already thinking to you, and understand, people, that this is all psychological. Everything we do here is psychological. Like, it's not just about selling real estate. It's actually showing these properties where we're gonna match them to the right buyer. So think about it. These are the little intricate things that we don't think anything of it because we're there and we live with it. But imagine if you showed it to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the part that you have to take into consideration.
And everybody has... Go ahead, Gigi. Gigi. Okay.
I was saying, if you live with it, you just forget about it. And it doesn't come to your mind,
Yeah.
And it's just like you're not fully aware of your surroundings anymore. And you think it's fine, but it's not. Yeah.
Correct.
So, and also we all have a handyman or handy person in our lives that if you can't do it yourself, because this job is pretty simple, I think, has to have, find that handy person that can help you out to fix those windows. Because to me, again, and I'll just cut it off at this point right here. To see a screen torn up like that or flapping in the wind like that is like watching somebody's car with a bumper that's taped on.
Oh,
so it's like, hold on a second.
Careful. It's gonna come off and slap you while you're on the other lane. You don't even want to pass that car.
Oh my God, I know that feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. So, oh my God, I did this one.
That is a pet peeve of mine. The ground. First of all, there is one thing I'm very anal about my bathroom hygiene and all that. I want it, after I take a bath, I make sure everything is wiped down. You have those squeegees, that helps.
Yeah.
You open the window if you have one, that helps too. Even in winter, you open it for 15 minutes, it dries up things.
That's right.
And you're never going to have any grout problem. But again, that's my pet peeve. So that I make sure that it's never
I better take notes.
Black or anything. Yeah.
So funny story, I'll let you into my life. I actually have to regrout my tiles.
Oh boy.
And Priscilla's like, you need to regrout these tiles. And I'm just like, I'm dreading it. I'm so dreading it. But it's true. It's true. Yeah. And you wanna regrout so that way, if you're living in, for example, an apartment building or even in a house, gravity happens. Gravity works, right? So if you're getting water through those cracks, chances are it's going to affect whoever's below you. And then they're going to have water stains in their ceilings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
there's
around the tub. That's just simple.
And regrouting is actually a really inexpensive thing. We're talking about maybe $10, $15 to do. Again, getting a handy person to do it, maybe an extra $50 or $40, whatever. It's just a regrout real quick. But if you really want to, spread the wealth a little bit more, reglazing the tub, reglazing everything, make it look shiny and spit shiny, like a detail work. Mm-hmm. That costs, a good couple of dollars out of your pockets.
Yeah,
but
I think reglazing will probably run you about $300 to $600
easily to do the whole entire thing. But if you want to do a DIY kind of situation, again, $10, $15, the sweat equity of yourself. It takes a few minutes. Honestly, I don't like it myself either, but I still have to do it myself. But I completely agree. Before we move on to the next one, real quick, we got about a couple more to go. I think somebody had asked us if we're going to be replaying this, and yes, we will be replaying this on our Facebook group. So you can mostly join us at Real Estate Unwrapped. You'll find us there, and definitely join us if you haven't joined us already. All right, so let's move on.
Watch it back on all the platforms it's in. I have it on LinkedIn now. It's on my account. It's going to live there forever. So you can rewatch it. You can share it with clients, whatever. You can, and friends. This one too. This is a bad one when you just come to
I don't have the green thumb, so I'm terrible. I'm trying to save a plant right now.
Let me tell you something. I actually, thank God, I developed the green thumb during the pandemic. That was one of my skills, man. And I got a hell of a lot of plants. Don't get me wrong. Some of them have died. Some of them are dying as we speak, and I'm praying for them. But the grass, the lawn is
Oh,
100% something that you should look into. Okay.
yeah,
If you're somebody who doesn't do it, if you're somebody who doesn't care about it too much, trust me when I tell you, nothing looks better than the greenest grass in front of a house. If
your
you
curb
can
appeal.
take
Yeah,
care
yeah,
of
yeah,
that, forget it.
Oof.
yeah.
Everybody's going to walk
Ugh.
into the house already realizing and thinking to themselves, how much more beautiful can this house be? Because just
Yeah.
by seeing that around, the curb appeal, you're manicuring your lawn, you're watering the
Ugh.
lawn, you're cleaning it up, you're planting flowers. I'm telling you, all of that is attractive to the buyer coming through your door.
So investors, right? Investors' favorite thing to do is to see whose lawn looks the worst.
Oh, yeah.
So you
And
could
the some of
imagine how much money they're thinking about right now. When they see
the
overgrown
the the
trees, when they see
the, the ugliest house from the best blocks in town. That's what they're looking for.
absolutely, they always
Yeah.
look for that. So if you're not trying to be the, because remember, investors tend to love to do
Thank
low
you
ball
very much.
deals and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
If you're trying to
Yeah.
get the most out of your equity and not actually show a green, like a lawn that's brown versus green, you want it
Yeah.
green because all it takes is a couple of
Guys,
pills, right?
I'm
Couple
gonna.
of seeds.
Can I interrupt you all? Because you see, like, they're so kind. This is Puerto Rico, man. The waiter just came outside to tell me that my food was already on the table and that it was gonna get
You know
cold.
what, Gigi? Let's just take
You
this
guys
over. We'll take this over. Why don't you enjoy your
you
food?
guys take it over. I love
We'll
you
take it
guys.
over.
I'll keep you updated.
We love you.
Enjoy the
Enjoy
beach.
it.
Bye.
Take
Thank
Peace
you.
care.
out. We got
All right.
this.
Bye bye. Yes. Thanks.
So what I was saying before was the fact that, from turning it brown to green, it only takes is a couple of seeds, right? It takes just a little cart. You just put it with seeds and let Mother Nature's rain come down and take care of its business, right?
Hell
It
yeah.
is a few dollars out of your pockets. Again, it is sweat equity out of your money, out of yourself, just to have that done. But if you choose to have a lawn, like a lawn person or a landscaping person to take care of that, yeah, it's going to cost you a couple of dollars, but they will certainly turn your place green again. And like you said, green is, green and green, if you think about it that way, right? A green lawn for green money is the
Sure.
best way to go. So you really want to make
Yeah.
sure that your green is always looking beautiful as always.
And here's a little tip for some of you folks that have grass and are wondering why is it turning brown. I realized that especially in the spring, summer, fall time, you'd want to water your grass twice a day. You don't
Mm.
water it in the middle of the day when the sun is at its peak. You water it in the morning and you water it at night. And with that being said, honestly, by a week or two, in my opinion, you with obviously with like the fertilizer and all that stuff, but you would have green grass. So I know it
Absolutely.
costs water to water it, but do it. Trust me, do it.
Do it right away too. Don't waste time.
Yeah.
Don't waste time.
These
And
pets.
you were talking about pets. I
Pets.
am a dog fan. I'm allergic to cats, but I am a dog fan. And when I see dogs, I love them. Small, big, doesn't really matter. But I think the one thing I don't like, and I think you mentioned this earlier, is two things. It's the odor, and then the fact that they actually create a sofa into a rug. It's like, what?
Yeah. Listen, man,
That's the one thing
I like I said, I love pets, bro. I think they're awesome. I think they're great. I just don't think that they belong inside of a house because no matter what you do, and like I said, I love pets. And Gigi mentioned it about, hygiene, cleanliness, right? Like no matter what you do, pet owners, hear me out. No matter what you do, no matter how often you clean your home, the home will still get dirty solely because your pet sheds hair.
Absolutely.
And to top it off, when you ask people to take off their shoes when they come into your home, but then you don't tell your pet to take off their paws when they come into your home, that right there just really throws me off because it's like you take your dog outside, you walk the dog, they walk all up and down the street, and then they come back into the place and they're running around the house or apartment barefoot. And then you want me to take off my shoes?
You know, you know what ran through my mind as you're saying that? So are you telling me to have those? How many folks have you seen with pets in their bag or in a stroller?
A lot.
Right? I mean, honestly, it's like,
A, lo-
hello.
a, a lot of New Yorkers do that. That's what I'm
So
saying, man. It's interesting, but at the end of the day, again, to each his own. You love pets, fantastic. Just understand that this is what it is. Like if I sit down on a couch, like you said, they tend to turn your couches into rugs. I sit on a couch, God forbid I have a black sweater on. I get up and now their hair is all over me. And I'm allergic to cats and dogs. I'm just allergic to them in general, but
okay,
some of them are, they say, oh, this dog is
hyperallergenic. Yeah,
hyperallergenic. I just want
yeah,
to be clear. No dog or a cat is 100% hypoallergenic. Some of them are on a high scale, but there's no such thing as a dog being hyperallergenic 100%.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what
I
I mean?
agree. I agree.
But forget my rant on pets. Like I said, I love them. I think they're great. You know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is, they do damage your stuff. Like I've walked into apartments where you can see right on the left-hand corner of the door, on the bottom of the door, you see the scratch marks because the
Oh
dog is trying
yeah.
to get your attention, right?
Oh
On the
yeah.
corner moldings of the properties, you
Oh
can see
yeah.
the scratch and the bite marks. You know what I mean? Like all of that right there, understand, folks, people that walk into the house want to live there. God forbid if this is an individual that doesn't like pets. Just that alone, you could have been well priced in a good neighborhood, good school district, all the space in the world. But if somebody walks in and is not crazy about pets, that right there, number one turn off, they're out the door.
Yeah, that's one of the turnoffs. It's funny too because another one is it could be furniture that's been damaged by the pet as well. Mind you,
Yeah.
it's not furniture that the buyer's going to keep, but it's furniture too, right? Like if you have a chew chair or chew recliner or chew something that's actually kind of ridiculous or scratched out sofa seats or whatever. Again, you may not be keeping it, they may not be keeping it, but then that's it becomes a small turnoff.
Yeah.
So, a good thing. I mean, I suggest this to a couple of sellers that I had that had pets as well. That the dogs were either on top of it so many times. Is to reupholster. Reupholstering is a little bit more, to actually change things a lot, but it did help out the sale, right? Yeah. Having to change out the seats. Sometimes you just by going to IKEA and just change out a couple of seats, that helps out too. Little things like that will just remember the little bit of amounts will change the psychological part, as you said, Ed. The psychological part of a buyer going in there and either seeing themselves live in the apartment or at least know that you have been taking care of the apartment in a certain way. So that's really important to do and really important for them to even look at. So
100%.
And last, but I think this is the last but not least. Oh, I love this one too.
This one might take a little more work though.
You think so?
Reviving an outdated kitchen, yeah, because I'm noticing that a lot of folks, what they're doing is, look, at the end of the day, today's day and age, when it comes to kitchen cabinets, you have engineered wood, which let me put into perspective. Engineered wood is like taking sawdust and gluing it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put like a sheet of what is it? Like a little sheet of wood to make it look
like a plywood kind of thing.
Like like it's plywood. I don't know whose idea that was. Yeah, it's less cost effective, but God forbid you spill water on that cabinet, the whole entire cabinet warps. You got a damaged cabinet, and next thing you know, you're either replacing doors or replacing the whole cabinet completely. Now,
right.
The older cabinets that were installed in a lot of these older homes, that was hard, solid wood. And quite frankly, what I am noticing is that they're taking the doors off, they're kind of sanding them down, polishing it up a little bit, changing the handles, and they're putting them back up with new hardware, new hinges, new handles, new hardware, to kind of give it that facelift. That might cost a little bit of money, or like Israel said before, you can go on YouTube. There's a lot of do-it-yourself videos, and they can show you how to take the things off, put them back on, new hardware. They sell little tools at Home Depot to measure the corners on where you want to put the handles. That way everything lines up correctly. You understand? Like there's a lot of things that we can do but it all depends, right? If you're going to replace the countertop, that might cost a little money. You know what I mean? And a lot of the old, that was the crazier part. A lot of the older kitchen cabinets had hardwood cabinets, but then they had like those engineered wood countertops
Yeah,
with
you're right.
like film on top of it. You know what I
So,
mean?
so the good thing about not only there's look, let's put it this way: not everyone likes to do it yourself kind of business, but honestly, and some of us don't want to spend the marble, the counter, the quartz and all sort of stuff, and even the woods as well. But if you do the research enough, whether it's in Amazon or other places, try to see if you can find a second-hand counter. There's a lot of a lot of investors out there, a lot of flippers out there who are not even using those countertops, and they tend to repurpose them, refurbish them, and then obviously resell them. So if you want to go that route, you can. You can also just put a nice little plywood right on top of two, and that actually helps out. So anything that works the most inexpensive and efficient, I think is the best way to actually when it comes to kitchens. When it comes to knobs, you can actually go to thrift shops. I've seen people do that. They go to the thrift shops, they find a couple of knobs, and just change them out. But you can also go to other shops like the Home Depots and Lowe's and those other guys to get the most inexpensive ones and put them up as well, because those things change. Again, going back to the shirt thing that I was mentioning before. Imagine you actually just having a shirt, whether it has a stain there, but in a strategic spot. Let's just say it's like up here somewhere, and everybody sees that stain up here. Imagine you putting a pin there. Now everybody sees, oh my God, I like that pin. Or you stitched a star there. Oh my God, I like that star. It becomes something different. And then putting a knobs on cabinetries or changing out the sink or changing out the faucet are small little things you can do can help, change your updated look in your kitchen. So
no, it's true. There's little intricate things, but keep in mind, like we said in the beginning, understand something. When a buyer comes in there and decides to make an offer on your property, they're also looking for things to point out. Understand that they come into this place, they're already looking for something to say, hey, that doesn't look right. Let's negotiate. That's what they're looking for. So what you want to try to do is minimize how much they can actually point out. Now, clearly, there's things that you can do, and there's things that you clearly don't want to do because, like Israel said, it might cost a little more. But understand this, all right? As we said in the beginning, a buyer walks into your property, their assumptions of how much it would cost them to do the repairs is anywhere between 3 to 5 times more than what it would actually cost you. So what does that mean? If the job costs $1,000, they're not going to ask you for $1,000 credit at closing. They're going to probably ask you for a $5,000 credit. What if you would have did the repairs for $1,000? They no longer ask for a credit. Property sells for what it was. You just took $1,000, reinvested it into your home that would have potentially cost you $5,000 to give the buyer back in credit. Now you sold your home for almost $4,000 more because you invested that $1,000. You see what I mean? That's the way you should be looking at this.
Yeah.
Sell it as is if you want, but understand that these people are gonna come and they're gonna try to haggle the price. That's what we deal with.
So the thing I was going to add on to that is the fact that you want the buyer to have the mindset of this. I can't wait to live here. I want this versus I can't live here. I don't want to have this at all. So here's that mindset, right? So how do you do that? These little fixes will help you do that. So if you want them to have I can't wait to live here, I can't wait to have this as my home, then start doing these little fixes. Change these little psychological things so that they are actually in your realtor, Ed does it, myself, Gigi, we all do it in the sense that we make sure to put you in your best foot forward to have the buyer say, I can't wait to live here versus I cannot live here. Yeah. Right. And there's that, and believe me, I work with buyers a lot and I fully know those psychological mentalities. So
understand that everything is a psychological game, and we need to try to present the property as best as we can so they're not looking for the little things to pick at and they see more value in the property.
Yeah. Well, that was it. I mean, look, 7 things that you can do to actually make things happen, to make sure you actually are always in your best foot forward. If you feel like you know more that, like little things that we haven't said, please put it in the chat. Let us know. Let us know what you think. I'm sure there's plenty more things that we haven't said yet. Maybe adding the roof portion, or probably doing the basement. That's another thing that actually is a plus as well. Having to fix the garage doors. I mean, these are major things, but then again, small things that you can do to actually help your changing out the lamps or the lights. Hey, did you know? I don't know if you ever done this, Ed, but for me, I actually had a home that had about 3 different styles of lights in every room. So the first thing I did,
like the light itself, or
like the light itself. So it was like the daytime lights, the yellow tonish light,
the amber lights,
the amber light, right? Everything had a different feel throughout, right? So, and I got the seller's opinion, I got the seller's idea on this, but now this home is vacant. So what I did was I changed all the lights. I bought a box of 20 lights, which is inexpensive, obviously, and I changed out all the lights to make it feel homely, to make it feel, right in there, sync. And look, in sync. Everything was just one point instead of just feeling, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's like that whole wave of feelings as you're going to each room, and it took a little bit to change them all out. But believe me, at the end of the day, those little light bulbs helped out to the sale of that home. So.
It's true.
It's just little things like that.
There's little things, man. I had an apartment that when I went to go see the place, every single room was a different color. Every room was a different color, and I get it. Like, they like that. Listen, everybody has their own taste. But at the end of the day, we have to look at it like this. Somebody's coming in, they kind of want to see a blank canvas. So let's give them that. So I informed him and I said, listen, paint your apartment one solid color. He primed it. It wasn't a great job. Like you might have to prime it again. But at the end of the day, it's all a white apartment. Like, if somebody comes in and says, oh, well, it looks like they, are they still painting? No, they primed it. They gave it a coat. All these rooms were a different color. However, they primed it, left it primed because the next person coming in can paint it whatever the color they want.
Ding, 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 ding. That's what I said too. That's what I say too. Exactly. Just they gave you an open canvas for you to do whatever you want in that aspect. And last thing is, going back to the electricity portion of it, is switching out like the switch plates. When you're switched, you have like these plates are sometimes cracked, or the plug plates as well,
or they're missing,
cracked as well, or they're missing. Just putting those in. Those are like $2-3 jobs. Just putting those in. So it actually works out. So yeah, honestly, great question for this. What type of light? So it really depends on the unit itself, house or unit. You have to look at whether or not it is bringing in a lot of light or no light, because sometimes if it's a unit that has really very little light, you want to go with those daytime lights to just brighten up the unit. And then there's other amber lights if it's too much light, you can just give it a nice little yellow tone. Again, the owners might have a yellow tone wall or a gray wall, so those 2 types of lights are really good to go with. Just be careful as you do that, because not all light bulbs would work with all lamps or light fixtures, but there is a generic version of them. So I would certainly make sure that you know which ones to work with and then go from there. But like I said, the daytime ones are really good for more brightness than anything else.
In my opinion, when it comes to the property, I don't get me wrong, I love the daylight. I love the daylight light bulbs. They're almost like how do I put it? They're almost like the hospital lights, right? Very bright, very white. In my opinion, I feel like when it comes to a home has to feel homey. It has to feel warm. That color is not a warm color. That color just makes you feel like you're in like a hospital scene. But again, that's just my opinion. But don't get me wrong, I love it myself. I have them in my own apartment. But if you are putting the property on the market, I would probably just say kind of go with that warm tone. You know, it doesn't have to be daylight, but it could be that warm tone because again, people kind of tend to like that warmth. It feels cozy. You
Yeah.
know, it feels homey. When you have the bright blue light, it just kind of comes off as, and it depends on the way you have your apartment set up. Like I walked into an Airbnb where the whole place was white. Everything. The couch was white, the seats around the dinner table were white, and the lights were white. And you walk in and you're kind of like you feel like you're in a staged setting, like the whole place is staged. You know what I mean? So again, it just kind of goes off of that feel.
And,
you know,
and to piggyback on that, because we're going to go on to the next question real quick. Just to piggyback on that, sometimes when the lights are just way too bright, and I hope I don't discuss anybody when I say this, when the lights are too bright for me, in that sense, I almost feel like you're trying to scare away the roaches. It's like you don't need to scare away the roaches. Just make it feel homey, no matter how you see it. You know, just make it feel like when they walk in, oh my God, it's bright enough they can see everything, they can enjoy everything, and just again make them feel like they want the place versus not wanting the place. So this is a very good question. I honestly think that it is a question that I get asked a lot. To me, it's always the white is the right answer for that. You know, it's like what color you should is preferable. It's always white, you know, in that sense. When you're talking about interior, right? When you're trying to sell it, it's just always white.
Yeah, it could be white. It could be that off-white too.
I was going to say off-white and also going to say light gray as well, because that's also that
very
mute
light
color.
Gray,
yeah. That mute color, that neutral sort of ish color. That always works too.
Yeah.
But going purple or going orange, I don't think.
No, you don't want to do that because again, that's a preference, right? Like if you like the color purple, don't suggest to your client, hey, color this whole place purple because I think it'll look great. You know, no. Like we said before, I had a client, every room was a different color. The best thing I could have told him to do was just prime the entire apartment. Just prime it. You don't even have to go crazy. You could prime it. If you want to give it a nice little accent or a nice little tone, go with the white, off-white, eggshell based, so it has a little shine to it. And I think that's when you use eggshell paint, it helps big time, especially in places that aren't well lit, that don't have a lot of natural sunlight, because whatever light they do get in with the eggshell base, they can actually then reflect the light again off of the walls, which it'll just naturally make the room feel like it's getting more light. So you can always take that route as well.
And two things to add on to that: the fact that if you're not able to do it because you're not handy on doing that, remember, everybody has a handyman that they can work with. Two, if you are willing to do it and have some sweat equity, we all have friends and families that we can invite over for a drink of wine and pizza, you know, or beer, and let them help you out with that, because painting is not easy, but painting can be fun. So I think that if you're going to do it, you know, it's a good thing to do.
Instead of paying $30 to go sip and paint, just take those same $30, buy your friends some food and some drinks, and have a paint party at your own place.
I love it. I'll do it every day. I'll do it every day. Well, folks, thank you so much for taking time to hang out with us for today. This was a really good topic. I love this topic because these are questions that we go through almost every day in our business. And I think these little tips, as small as they may seem, may give you a big return later on. All right. And it definitely helps you and your buyer to actually have a good smoothing transition of sale. So I actually want to thank everyone for being here. I'm not sure who's our MVP for today. Ed,
I know exactly who it is.
I got a drum roll for you going on. So who is it?
Let's go. So huge shout out to Carrie Karen. So Carrie Karen, thank you so much.
Carrie, thank you so much. Thank you.
For showing some love. So here we go. This was her last post.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So thank you for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate your attention, your love.
Definitely appreciate you guys.
Weekend. And make sure, I know it's going to be cold this weekend, well, this Saturday actually, but if you see open house signs, stop on by.
That's right.
Show those agents some love. You know what I mean? Let's see if we can make it happen. And you never know, you might find your dream home this way. I
hope so. All right, guys. So stay productive, stay cheerful, and I look forward to working with everyone out there.
Let's do
Peace.
it.
And GG, enjoy your PR.
Bring back the sun and the heat.
Please do. Oh my God, it's too cold. Look at me. I'm wearing my sweater right now.
Crazy, bro. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy.